So good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Thank you for joining us today at the Services and Resources for Graduate Student event. I don't know if you're able to see the attendee numbers, but we actually have about 200 students in the room, and we're really excited to share all the information with you today. I am joined today by my co-presenter, Andrea Cole. Andrea, could you please introduce yourself to the students?
Yes, hi, thank you, Yufei, and good morning, everyone. My name is Andrea Cole, and I'm part of the Student Resources team. My role is coordinator for recruitment, retention, and diversity, and I'm happy to be part of this presentation today and welcoming you to McMaster. We're so happy that you've joined us here.
Thank you, Andrea. And I am on the same team as Andrea. My role is the International Graduate Student Coordinator, and my role at the School of Graduate Studies is to support international graduate students. In addition to the presenters today, we also have graduate studies staff members in the background to help you with any questions you may have. So please direct all your questions to the Q&A function on Zoom, and they will be attended to by our staff. We would like to start the session with a land acknowledgement. No matter where you are right now, we acknowledge that McMaster brought us all together, and the land that McMaster University sits on is located on the traditional territories of the Mississauga and Haudenosaunee nations, and within the lands protected by the Dish with One Spoon Wampum Agreement. I hope that many of us will be able to go on campus soon to appreciate the land and the land surrounding us in Hamilton. And while we're on campus or while we're in Canada, I really highly encourage you to explore Canada's history and its present and appreciate our Indigenous culture. In today's presentation, we will talk about three big general topics. We will introduce you to the School of Graduate Studies, introduce you to resources that are available within the university, and also resources that are available within the community. We'll get started with introducing you to School of Graduate Studies and the administrative supports that we offer. If you have not been on campus yet, this is Gilmore Hall, and the School of Graduate Studies sits on the second floor of Gilmore Hall. The Schools of Graduate Studies is the central administrative and resources for all faculties. So the folks who are in SGS, SGS are the Dean of Graduate Studies and the Associate Deans for all the faculties within the university. The School of Graduate Studies also contains the scholarships and awards team, the grad pay inquiries team, and the student resources and the graduate student resources team, which Andrea and I belong to. We are the central administrative place that oversees the overall admissions and graduation process, PhD defenses, rules and regulations, forms and policies. So we also oversee this document called the graduate calendar. So if you have any questions about graduate school policies in general, the graduate calendar is a very good resource for that. And if you get a chance to visit our front desk when our office is open, you'll meet this friendly person named Kevin. Kevin is also the person behind the askgrad@mcmaster.ca email. The askgrad@mcmaster.ca email takes care of issues relating to enrollment, retrieving online letters, student photo upload, and technical issues that you may not know where to go for. You can also request to update your records, such as your name change or if you have a citizenship change. As grad will also be happy to sign for to provide signature for CPP forms and provide information on petitions such as leave of absence, withdrawal, transferring programs, and etc. Please note, if you have program-specific questions, such as questions about requirements for your degree, the courses to take, deadlines and significant dates for your program, funding, you should ask your program directly, as each graduate school programs may operate based on different processes. Next, I will talk a bit about scholarships. So scholarships for graduate studies or McMaster University as a whole are managed through the system called AwardSpring. The AwardSpring login tiles can be found in your Mosaic homepage. And you can complete one application to be matched with all the awards that you're eligible for. It also tracks the completion of any additional applications requirements and is a very user-friendly dashboard. If you have any questions about your graduate scholarships, please email our graduate scholarships team at graduatescholarships@mcmaster.ca. As a graduate student, you may receive payments from the university for various different reasons. And payments in general are grouped and issued in two ways. For your scholarships funds, so for example, your graduate scholarships, entrance scholarships, department scholarships, external scholarships, and tuition bursaries, and other awards, they are being paid to you and sent to your email by Interact e-transfer. And the information that are used to send you these payments are tracked and recorded in Mosaic. So please make sure to update your information in Mosaic in Student Center as soon as possible. And if you have research scholarships or teaching assistant or RA roles, your payment is will be issued to you by Human Resources as an employee of the university. And Human Resources will send you forms asking for your direct deposit information, and payments will be deposited directly into your Canadian bank account. So please note, for both of these kind of payments, in order to receive the payments, you must be in Canada and have a Canadian bank account. If you have any questions about how payments are issued, please contact gradpay@mcmaster.ca. So this employment section is relevant to students with TA roles or students who are thinking of taking on employment while they're a student. In order to work in Canada, you must have a social insurance number and a Canadian bank account. According to the policies in the graduate calendar, graduate students may work up to an average of 10 hours on campus. That includes your TA roles. And please make sure, in order to get paid, to update your direct deposit information with Human Resources. For international students in particular, make sure that your study permit contains information about your work conditions in Canada. You don't need an additional work permit to work while you're a full-time student, but your study permit do need to include a condition that states you're eligible to be employed in Canada. In order to find employment on campus, you can log into Mosaic and click on the Career Opportunities tab. Here are just some key reminders of important dates coming up. If your mailing address in Mosaic was a Canadian address before August 12th, your student card may have already been or will be mailed to you. If your address in Mosaic by August 13th is not a Canadian address, you will be able to pick up your student card at the Student Success Center after September 7th. The details for the pickup process will be available once the registrar's office posts more information and updates, but the cards will not be available for pickup before this date. September 25th is your tuition deadline for the fall term, and September 30th is the date that you need to complete SGS 101 and 201 courses. Please visit this page listed here for tips about how to enroll in SGS 101 and 201 if you have not enrolled in the courses yet. And next, I would like to highlight this information that is brand new and is literally just announced yesterday. So McMaster University just announced yesterday that all university community members or visitors who wish to access a McMaster campus or facility, so these people include staff, students, and all faculty, they're required to provide proof of vaccination. For details about this announcement and other back to campus news, I highly encourage you to visit our Back to Mac website. So the Back to Mac website is for all of McMaster's campus community, and it will be updated with information about this vaccination requirement, how you can show you're vaccinated, where to get vaccinated, and other detailed information. At this time, since the announcement is so new, we don't have answers to some of very specific questions yet. And as staff member, I can say that I am still waiting for the information about how I can show my vaccination records. So please be patient with us while we wait for the university to post more information about this exact process. But meanwhile, if you have not gotten your vaccines for COVID-19 yet, I highly encourage you to do so because we would love to see you on campus. For the next section, I would like to invite Andrea to the screen to talk about graduate resources at SGS.
Thank you so much, Yufei. So yes, if you could advance the next slide, please. So just a reminder, if you haven't seen this yet, we do have a hub page on our website for all new incoming students who are starting in September. So you can visit this page if you haven't already to find instructions and links to all the important tasks that you need to complete. You can register for related orientation events and find resources for campus support all on that page that's going to be added into the chat. So please do check that out if you haven't done so already. So now I want to talk about some current student resources. These are resources that the Student Resources team puts together at the School of Graduate Studies. We organize events throughout the year and we share helpful resources that are relevant to all graduate students. So primarily these resources fall into 4 different categories. One is around the supervisory relationship for graduate students in research-based programs. Another is academic skills and services relevant to your degree, wellness and community supports, as well as professional development. So these can all be found on the current Students Resources tab on our website. So I wanted to just start by highlighting our page for this supervisory relationship. So the School of Graduate Studies has compiled a number of resources onto this page that we think will be helpful for you in getting started and having a great rapport and professional relationship with your research supervisor if you are in a research-based program. So a few years ago, the School of Graduate Studies created this template that's called Getting the Supervisory Relationship Off to a Good Start. This template is intended to be completed by both the student and the supervisor at the beginning of the student's program. And it's really intended as a communication tool to really just start things off, help with setting the expectations, help people get familiar with each other. So it's intended to be completed at the start, but we do say that it can be revisited at any time, and actually can think of it as more of a living document that you can go back to and refer to with your supervisor at any point in your degree. This is a recommended template from the grad school, but your program or your immediate supervisor might actually have it as a requirement. So your program or supervisor will let you know if it's part of your required activities. And if you haven't received it, you can download a copy from our website, or you can look for it by email, as we do email it out to students periodically throughout the year. So also on our website, in addition to that template, you'll find a section called Guidelines for Students, Supervisors, Programs, and Committees. And so what we've done is created a summary of roles and expectations. These are the high level roles and expectations as provided by the grad school. And so we've segmented it out. It's intended as a quick reference. If you aren't sure about something, you can pop over and look at it there. And it's intended to support self-efficacy and awareness and effective communication. So we do encourage you to have a look at that. Have a look that over, and also on the same page you'll find links to the grad calendar, which Yufei had mentioned earlier, that contains all of the rules and regulations pertaining to graduate study at McMaster. And you'll also find a link to the PhD supervision policy on that page as well. So do have a look at that page, and remember, you can refer to it at any point in your degree. So what to do if the expectations aren't being met? In other words, if the student or the supervisor aren't holding up to their end of the agreement? Well, first of all, we hope that both parties have reviewed the expectations, the roles and responsibilities that have been set by the grad school. And then if there's still concerns, we recommend that the student and the supervisor have a direct conversation about the issue. If the issue remains after attempts through the student and supervisor directly, every program and department has a grad chair or advisor or director or lead. They're called different things depending on your program, but every program has one person who's in charge of the leadership of that program. So that person is a resource to help students and supervisors as well, should any concerns come up. And then finally, each faculty rather has an associate dean, and that associate dean is also available to support any concerns or confusion around graduate supervision that come up throughout the degree. So throughout this time, you can also seek support from the Student Wellness Center for individual or group support, as well as your graduate student association. And then if you have any concerns about any type of misconduct, mistreatment, harassment, or discrimination, whether that's related to the supervisory relationship or any other aspect of your time at McMaster, there are resources who are available to support you through the Equity and Inclusion Office, the University Ombuds, QP 3906 in the case of a TA or employment concern, or a trusted peer, mentor, or staff member. So now I'm going to talk about disability and accommodations for graduate students. So if you have a disability and you'd like to set up an academic accommodation, please connect with the Student Accessibility Services as soon as possible. You can book an appointment with SIS directly online. And even if you completed a previous degree here, if you did your undergraduate degree at McMaster and had accommodations through that degree, you'll still need to re-register for accommodations as a graduate student. The process looks a little bit different, and your accommodations plan might also look a little bit different as you enter into and through your graduate program. So we do have an upcoming event, so you can hear more about the services and supports available for graduate students with disabilities. It's called an Introduction to Services, Accommodation, and Community, and that will be taking place later this week, August 19th at 3 p.m. And so there we'll be joined by our friends in Student Accessibility Services, as well as a student-led group called McMaster. So that's an opportunity to go a little bit deeper into the types of supports and services and how to access accommodations. And just a note about workplace accommodations. So if you have a TA-ship or an RA-ship in lieu or any other type of campus employment and you require accommodations, this is actually set up through human resources because it's an employment relationship. So you would access HR to access accommodations there. And there's also a really wonderful office on campus called the Career Access Professional Services, or CAPS. And this office helps with navigating all of the accommodations processes and can also provide guidance on how and when to disclose a disability and provide a lot of other supports. So we do encourage you to check that out. And then our page on the School of Graduate Studies website under current students also has more resources and information about disability in graduate school. So please check that out as well. And now I want to talk about some of the career and professional development opportunities that are available to you through your degree. We offer workshops and events throughout the year, networking and career prep, job search, and career fairs. There's information about my tax internships and different types of training opportunities, as well as the McMaster Research Shop, which is a community-based research volunteer opportunity. Our colleague, Catherine Maybury, works very hard to organize and provide these events throughout the year. And as an example, there's an event coming up called Emotional Intelligence, Professional Skills for Graduate Students and Postdoctoral Fellows. That's taking place August 31st at 9 a.m. Please check that out. The registration link will be in the chat, and you can follow and find out more like these and more opportunities for professional development through the Grad Studies website and through our weekly newsletter. And just another note about our Grad Studies newsletter. It's called The Weekly. It comes out once a week. It comes directly into your inbox, so you don't need to sign up or subscribe. But that is how we keep you up to date with these events and opportunities and important dates. So just takes a couple seconds to scan it when it comes to your inbox. And we really encourage you to just keep an eye on The Weekly as it comes to you. And support for international graduate students. Our International Graduate Student Coordinator supports international grad students throughout their graduate life experience, plans programming that addresses and advocates for international student needs, and connects students to relevant resources and services. So that's Yufei, and you can email her, or you can set up a one-on-one appointment with her as well. So speaking of Yufei, I'm going to turn that right over to you to speak about the next section called Campus Resources.
Thank you so much, Andrea, and what a great transition. So next, I will talk about resources that are available to all the graduate students on campus. And before I get started, I want to say that just like the picture of this sign, you're not expected to memorize everything that I will talk about in this section, because we recognize there are a lot of information being thrown at you today, but we hope that you will recognize these resources and reach out or access these resources when you need them or when you would like to explore them. As we mentioned earlier, this presentation, it will be available to you after the event, and you can also review the recording of this presentation. So please do not feel overwhelmed or pressured to take notes and just memorize everything. So as the first resource I would like to introduce to you is the University Technology Services, otherwise as known as UTS. This service is essentially our IT department. And I don't know what your experience is like in the past year, but we recognize that this service is almost like the glue that brought us together. We're in this webinar because of technology. And if you have any question about technology, the UTS team is always there to help you. One of the most important identification that you will have as a McMaster student is your Mac ID. It gives you access to services such as your McMaster email, your free Microsoft 365 account, the off-campus housing portal, and essentially everything that originates from the university. If you have not already done so, I highly encourage you to get your Mac ID and start checking your McMaster email. All McMaster students will also have access to Office 365, and it includes applications such as Word, Excel, PowerPoint, Outlook, and they are free to students with McMaster email. Some classes may have events and meetings on the Teams platform. So this is a platform that encourages you to get familiar with as well, because my personal one-on-one appointments also takes place on Teams. Next, we have a Institute for Teaching and Learning, and we often refer to it as McPherson. So this is the service. If you're a TA, you will be very familiar with it once you start your employment. This institute provides information and resources for classroom instruction skills. They have a teaching and learning certificate program. They provide training for TAs. They also deliver workshops and send you weekly newsletters with the latest events. For this upcoming school year, there will be a teaching and learning forum for teaching assistants, graduate students, postdoctoral fellows, and sessional instructors. Most of these workshops will be delivered asynchronously, and once it's available, it will be announced, and you can access to all the resources on Avenue to Learn. Next, I would like to introduce you to a very important academic resource, which is resources to help you with your writing. As graduate students, many of you will be doing a lot of professional writing, and we do have resources to help you. First is our Writing Center. Our Writing Center is available for one-on-one appointments starting September 13th. And then we have regular thesis writers boot camps, where it is a week-long kind of, not really an event, but a week-long series of workshops that facilitates supportive environments for writing and reflection. So in these boot camps, you will be writing with your peers, so hopefully creating an environment where it will inspire more writing. There are also online resources available on the community resources page that Andrea mentioned earlier. So it includes resources including Introduction to Graduate Level Writing, an online module, and a thesis writer's toolkit. I highly encourage you to attend the upcoming event called Writing Strategies for Graduate Students. In this workshop, not only you will talk about writing outlines, but folks at the Writing Center will also introduce you to the services at the Writing Center and answer any questions you may have about accessing the Writing Center or graduate writing in general. Additionally, for students whose first language is not English and or newcomers who are looking to kind of refine their English skills or get to know more about the Canadian culture, we have this amazing office called the McMaster Office for the Development of English Language Learners, also known as MODEL. So Model offers free lessons, workshop, and supports to help students improve their English language proficiency. And they also offer one-on-one help for students to address individual student needs. So if you would like to receive more support in improving your English skills, I highly, highly recommend for you to explore Model's events and make a one-on-one appointment. Additionally, they also have an upcoming event called Model Mini Workshops. So in this event, staff member and faculty from Model has constructed this format where they will deliver a short version of their many workshops so we can get a taste of what model workshops are like. And overall, it's just a very fun event that introduces you to model and the services available at model. So if you're interested, I highly encourage you to attend, and this event will be held later this month. And next, as graduate students, libraries may become a very prominent or become a very different part of your life, especially if your degree involves research. So we have a graduate studies and faculty specific librarians, and please reach out to your librarians if you would like any additional support on your research or just navigating the library as a whole. They do research consultations and they can help you with your citation management system. There are also dedicated graduate students and postdoc study rooms in the Mills Library that will open on September 7th. And there are also many specialized research and innovation centers. There's the Sherman Center, the Data Analysis Support Hub, the Leon Center for New Media. So I encourage you to explore these centers once you're more familiar with the university and with the library system in general, as there are many great services available, but it does kind of take time to kind of get to know them. There is also a library remote support hub that is available for students as well. Again, there is an upcoming event called Get to Know Your Librarian and the Library. And I highly encourage you to attend this one as well, because we have held these events in the past for current students, and current students express that they wish they would know these services better before they started their program, because some of the things our librarians will talk about will make your research life a lot easier, and they might share resources that you may not even know existed. And of course, health and wellness is very important to us, and especially we can see in the past year is a very prominent part of our lives. The Student Wellness Center is also other known as the SWC, addresses physical and mental wellness needs. They provide services such as counseling options, medical service, and they also deliver regular wellness programs. There is also a grad wellness letter is made by a group of graduate students, and they're specifically for graduate students. I highly encourage you to sign up for this newsletter and get to know your peers and be involved in initiatives that are organized by your peers. There is also the Graduate Student Association, the GSA Health and Dental Plan, and It is available to all graduate students, and you can email them for more information. There's also a service called Empower Me. It's a 24/7 mental health and wellness counseling service. If you're not sure who to talk to, or you prefer not to reach out to a staff member, you're very encouraging reach out to Empower Me, because no issues are too big or too small. And you can request supports for any mental situations you're experiencing, or any personal or family or academic relationships in your life that you would like support to help dealing with. So the support includes support for depression, anxiety, grief, relationship problems, adjusting to life to a new country, addiction, mild substance abuse, educational conflicts, disordered eating, and many, many more. So please feel free to reach out to Empower Me. As teaching assistants, you also have access to the QP 3906 Health and Dental Plan. For international students, you have access to the health insurance called UHIP. So for domestic students or citizens and permanent residents of Canada in Ontario, they have access to healthcare called OHIP, and UHIP is kind of the international student equivalent. Enrollment into UHIP is automatic and mandatory for all international students and their dependents. And I encourage you to visit our health insurance page on our International Student Services page to learn more about UHIP and what's covered. Next, I would like to talk about equity, diversity, and inclusion, sometimes known as EDI. At McMaster University, we take issues and EDI advocacy very seriously. We have an Equity and Inclusion Office, and it promotes and supports institution-wide commitments to equity, diversity, inclusion, and accessibility. So under this office, they host items such as the human rights and dispute resolution, inclusion and anti-racism education, accessibility programs, sexual violence prevention and response programs, and also the McMaster equity and inclusion policies, including accessibility policy, discrimination and harassment policy, and sexual violence policy. The Equity and Inclusion Office also hold events throughout the year, and we are more than happy to share these events with you through our weekly newsletters. As student, financial planning is also very important. There are some resources that can offer you financial support. So first resource is Max Money Center. So the Max Money Center have money coaches who can help you one-on-one to help you with your budgeting, help you with meeting your financial goals, and just help you with kind of getting through school as a student using the resources you have available. They also host workshops to help you with your money management skills. If you encounter financial emergencies due to negative circumstances outside of your control, there are also an emergency financial support fund managed through the registrar's office. You can seek support through this financial emergency fund by contacting the registrar's office directly, and the link on the screen will take you to a page with detailed instructions to how to access this fund. There's also grants and bursaries available through your Graduate Student Association, and you can learn more about this fund, these grants and bursaries on the GSA website. And finally, the International Student Services. Student Services is a service that are for all international students at McMaster. So this includes graduate students as well as undergraduate students. And I also work very closely with the ISS. They provide services such as the health insurance, otherwise known as UHIP. They have regular events and activities that are available to all international students at McMaster University. There is a success coach. So Andrew is our student success coach for international students, and he's always available to talk to students about issues that where students might not know where to go for. We also have immigration and mobility advising from our licensed immigration consultants to provide advice and feedback about any questions you may have about the immigration process. Appointments with staff members at the ISS can be booked on Oscar Plus, and you're encouraged to visit their website for more information. So I hope that was not too overwhelming. You may also always access this information through the Grad Community Resources page that Andrea mentioned earlier. And you can also download the slides to kind of revisit these resources. Now I will hand over to Andrea.
Thanks, Yufei. So for our last section, we wanted to share with you about the community resources that are available that you can get involved with on campus. So primarily, first and foremost, is the Graduate Students Association, which is separate from the central administration that we sit in the Student Resources team. The Graduate Student Association, or GSA, is an independent, autonomous body that's operated by and for graduate students. And that covers the administration of your health and dental coverage. It covers sports leagues just for graduate students. The GSA owns and operates its own restaurant called the Phoenix that's right in the heart of campus. Also, the GSA administers graduate student clubs and social events and does a lot of advocacy for graduate students, both at the local and provincial and even the national level. The GSA has faculty reps connected into their executive and representative bodies, and there are many subcommittees that you can get involved with for the student representation as well. So you can find out more about the GSA on their website and look for information from them in your inbox as well. So just to highlight some of the student groups, clubs and associations that you can get involved with as well. There's the International Graduate Student Association, which has quite an active Facebook group. You can get involved there. And there's a variety of other student groups and clubs, actually too many to list on this slide. So we've just highlighted a few here. There's the McMaster Grad Parents group. There's separate societies for both engineering and science graduate students. There's an African Caribbean Grad Students Association, McMaster Indigenous Graduate Students Group, a Resist BIPOC Working Group, and Latin American Graduate Students Association. And so you can find out more about those clubs and associations through the GSA website, as well as on the Grad Studies website too. And then there's CUPE 3906, which is a union. If you have a teaching assistant or a research assistantship in lieu of a TA, you're part of a labor union for TAs and RAs. So you're protected under the collective agreement, and you also have access to your own health plan, in addition to the GSA plan, and there's advocacy and international officer and different ways that you can get involved with CUPE 3906. So we've got the website there for you to check out as well. There's a few groups on campus that we definitely wanted to highlight for you. One is called Open Circle, which is actually a nonprofit group that works exclusively with McMaster students and local nonprofits. and it connects students with volunteer opportunities in the Hamilton and broader community, as well as offering a number of community gathering spaces. There's a few sessions that are organized just for graduate students only. And one is called the Personal Discovery Course for graduate students, and the other is called the Becoming Myself series for graduate students. These are offered in the fall and winter terms, so you'll hear more about those as they become available, but they're each 8-week long courses. You have access to one-on-one coaching sessions, as well as leadership and personal growth reflection activities. So that's Open Circle. And then another group that's part of McMaster is PACPIC, which is the President's Advisory for Building an Inclusive Community. And also known as PACPIC, there's a variety of working groups that are available to campus community members. So that's another way that you might want to get involved, and you can check out their website for more about the different working groups that are available. So for graduate students who are also parents, we know that being a parent and a graduate student at the same time can be challenging as well as rewarding. But we've created a Grad Parents network that you can connect with through our website, and you can join the Facebook group as well. We have an upcoming event called Being a Grad Parent, Managing Family Responsibilities in Graduate School, which will feature a panel of students who are also parents. And that's taking place tomorrow, August 18th at 9 a.m. So we hope that if you are a grad parent, you'll also be able to join us for that event. So this concludes the presentation section of the webinar today. So we are just going to manage any final questions that might be outstanding in the Q&A, and maybe I'll hand things back over to you, Yufei, if you wanted to manage that piece.
Thank you, Andrea. And I see that our colleagues has addressed more than 70 questions already, and they're very much the experts in many of the questions. But I do want to kind of answer some of the questions live if possible. And one of the questions is, does McMaster University have any classes for French language, or do we have any recommendations for folks perhaps who may like to learn French? So just to get started, we do have a French department which kind of offers relevant classes in that area. But like any other classes, I recommend kind of contacting them if you're not in the program to inquire if if as a graduate student, you may be eligible to take any of these classes. And outside of university, there are also programs kind of offered by local colleges or just community groups from the libraries or other groups that you may access in the community. So Hamilton, it is a very predominantly English city. Fortunately, I know that opportunity to learn French is not very common. Andrea, do you know any other kind of resources where folks may learn French?
Those were the main ones that I know of as well, unless folks want to try to connect with a French speaker and do their own language group. But formally, I'm not aware of anything at McMaster at this time.
Thank you, Andrea. And I saw another question that I would like to answer live about using services offered by international student services as a non-international student. So just like model, if you see a service that are relevant to you, you're more than welcome to reach out and be involved in the programming that are offered by that area of the service. So for example, international student services may have social events, may kind of deliver other events that you think is relevant to you, and you're more than welcome to join this event or talk to the international student success coach. We won't discriminate based on your student status. Honestly, I won't even look it up when I talk to students. If they reach out to me, I am more than happy to help them. So please feel free to join those services. Just note that a lot of services offered by ISS may not be relevant to you. So for example, the workshops about applying for a study permit or anything about UHIP or things that are exclusively for students with international status. So if you see events being promoted to students that are offered from for international students and you think you may benefit from it, please feel free to join, or if you're very unsure, reach out to the organizer of the event and just let them know. Okay, and so in general, the recording of this event will be shared after the recording is processed. So after the end of this event, we'll edit the video to make it concise, and then we will send it out for captioning and eventually uploading. So this process may take 1 or 2 weeks, depending on folks who are doing kind of this part of the processing. And when it's available, we will be sure to post it and send out and include this information in one of the or the upcoming weekly emails that we send out. We will make sure to kind of promote the recording and the slides to you in the future. So please stay tuned. And other events, so this question also asks about some other events that has happened in the past. Some of the events that has happened in the past are recorded and some are not. Some events are not recorded because they have very high levels of interaction and personal information, but the events that are recorded are available on the graduate studies website, usually where you find information about this event. So for example, some workshops were delivered in the summer for international students, and the recordings of those events are posted on our international students page. You may find a link to that page in some of our past weekly newsletters. And I think this is all the questions that we can answer live and have can benefit, and most of students can benefit from. We still have some outstanding questions which are being answered by other staff members as I am speaking. So we will leave the event open for a few more minutes or until these questions are answered. Meanwhile, thank you everyone for attending this event. Thank you so much, Andrea, for co-presenting this event with me. As you know, we mentioned a few times already, there are a lot of information in this event, and I hope, if anything, you'll learn that there's a lot of services available, and they're always available to you, and you're more than encouraged to look for them and access them. And yeah, sorry, Andrea.
Yeah, I just wanted to say thank you everyone for your patience. Well, just to echo what you had said, Yufei, while we go through all of this copious amounts of information. But yeah, just a reminder that we'll let you know through our weekly newsletter as things come up. And you always have the Grad Studies website as a reference point as well to refer back to throughout any point in your degree.
Thank you, Andrea. Okay, and have a great day, everyone. Bye.